happened to that smile on your face? Whatever happened to get you so out of place? Trying so hard to be a man, trying so hard to save face. The system and the plan didn't work out. You're trying to retrace.
What's going on? Justin here from ModernMixing, and we are here for part 2 of mixing vocals with Ghislain Brind'Amour. And in this one, we're going to be talking about effects, automation, parallel compression, all that good stuff. If you haven't checked out part 1, you should go see that first, because that kind of leads into what we're going to be talking about today. And it also gives you a little bit of a primer to get you set up for this particular video. So go check that one out now. I'm going to put a link there for you to click on, and it'll take you right to that video. But anyway, so G, for the first part of this tutorial here, I guess we can talk about the automation. So it looks like you got some creative automation drawings going on there. I just kind of want to find out exactly what you're doing, what you were trying to achieve, and how it impacted, I guess, the output of the sound. So if you want, you can maybe get right into that. We'll just dig right in.
Great. All right, man. So, yeah, the automation is kind of like one of the last things I do once, I get tones and effects and all that stuff. It's just like a final sort of layer of leveling out the vocal, essentially. So all the peaks are mainly when the vocal's a little lower. I mentioned before, Amos is a bit of a dynamic singer, so sometimes certain words are a little low. So I want to kind of get those out. They're not really, they're sometimes too low that even the compressor doesn't get it. So with the automation, go get it right away. And most of the dips are for certain S sounds, the sibilants there, sort of bringing that down. So I'm not using a de-esser on his vocals. Didn't feel that it needed it, but there's still some S's that I had to go get, had to go bring down a little bit because they were a little too pronounced for my liking.
So basically it was for the automation, it was to bring out certain parts of the words, I guess, that were a little bit quiet, and then de-essing, and then some overall leveling, I guess, too, as well?
Exactly, essentially that there. So I'm just kind of writing the vocal, making sure, it's pretty, it's pretty level volume-wise, and also kind of enhances the performance, because certain words you want them to come out a little bit and stuff like that.
Okay, so, and on the parallel track there, which is underneath the lead vocal, is that the same automation? Did you just copy the automation and then just bring the overall level down, or did you make some sort of different adjustments on the parallel track?
No, on the verse part of the song, there's no adjustments. It's essentially the same. It's just kind of following the initial automation. So I believe I just copy and pasted it there, and obviously brought it lower. And yeah, so it just kind of supports it all the way through during the verse.
Okay, so I guess that handles the automation aspect of everything. Maybe you can talk about the parallel channel there. You have one plugin there, so maybe you can talk about what that is and why you used it, and I guess what you were trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Okay, so once I had like the level out and effects going, I wanted to sort of amplify the vocal and sort of just beef it up and stuff like that. So I like doing like a parallel chain on the vocal, which helps me achieve that. In this circumstance, I'm using the Waves CLA 76. I got it on all button mode, and I'm just kind of driving it, so it's saturating within the plugin, and it's kind of giving it a cool color. I'm going to play it for you guys so you can hear how it sounds, just a parallel chain, so you can kind of hear what's going on here.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
So you can tell it's heavily compressed. Obviously, all button modes on 1176 pretty crazy, and attack release pretty fast. So it's kind of choking it out. But what it's doing is just bringing everything out. So like the room noise from the vocal, and like just everything is just kind of getting blobbed up in there. And then I'm tucking that in under the vocal, pretty low, but it still makes a pretty big difference actually. And we'll do an A/B of the two, so you guys can hear kind of what it does. I'll play the two lines here.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And then with the parallel chain.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
So it has a little more life. It kind of just feels more present, even though I didn't, there is a boost in volume, but it's the overall presence of the vocal gets amplified with that parallel chain. Cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. So let's move on to the effects, and you can maybe just explain each effect that you used and sort of why you used it and, what you were trying to achieve. That would be great.
Absolutely. So I'll start off with on the effects returns. I have the Satson Buss channel on every single one, and I have fat mode engaged, and that's just for a little color. It's pretty subtle, but it just adds a little something to all the effects. And it's more about the accumulation of everything on the effects bus that I was going for, and I think it worked out pretty good in this circumstance with that plugin.
Okay, so on each return that you have there, this is the first plugin that's on the return, even before like a reverb is inserted or a delay or anything like that. This is kind of like, let me just add a little bit of color to the return, and then I'll kind of put the reverb on.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's kind of like simulating like effects returns on a console.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. So the first effect is one of the three reverbs. The first one I'm using is the Valhalla Vintage Verb. Very cool reverb. I love this one to death. The preset I used is Vocal Air. Definitely a bit of tweaking that I did on that. There's a few settings. You'd have to be familiar with this plugin to know what the color stands for and all that there. But it's very cool. This one's very modulated. It's pretty short, and it's just sort of kind of surrounding the vocal. There's no pre-delay on this one, and I followed this with an EQ, the Sonimus Sweetone, basically using it for the filters on it. I absolutely love the filters on this plugin. And basically, since it's a vocal verb, I'm kind of cutting out a lot of the low end and sort of cutting out a lot of the top end as well. So I'm keeping it more mid oriented, and I'm boosting a little bit of I guess it's on this plugin's called Tone. It's kind of like the mid range, and I'm giving it a little boost in that section too, just to sort of make it go with the vocal a little more. So I'll show you guys what all this does. The before is this.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And then the after with the first reverb is this.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
It's pretty cool. It's kind of modulated. It's got a little vibey thing in the background, and it just soaks into the track very nicely for this one. Cool?
Yeah, man, that sounds good. I like that.
Excellent. The next reverb that I'm using is it's the Native Instruments RC48. It's kind of like a remake of the Lexicon 480, which I'm a big fan of in the hardware world. This one comes pretty close. I'm using a preset male vocal again. There's for sure some tweaking going on, mainly in the pre-delay section. Here I added about 80 milliseconds of pre-delay, and that's sort of like timed with the track, so it's just to give it kind of like a little space before this reverb goes in. It's not a very long reverb either. You don't actually get to decide the exact time of it on this particular unit. They're sort of like set with the presets and all that there, but we're going to listen to it. And I'm doing also a very similar thing with the Sweetone, is I'm cutting out some lows, I'm cutting out some highs. I'm doing this mainly so that I like to feel reverbs. I'm not a big fan of hearing them, especially like on pop records. So I find that this process sort of helps that just sit in the track a little better. It also has a little distortion component, it's subtle, but it is nice. I'm not really pushing any of the mid on this one. I think it was good. So I'll show you before and after with this second reverb here. So before.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And then with the second reverb.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
Sounds really cool, and you feel that like that pre-delay. So it's kind of acting a little bit like a delay, but it's it opens up with the reverb and stuff like that. So it's very, very nice. All right, so the third reverb I'm using is the other Native Instruments, the remake of the 224 Lexicon. Another very cool sounding one. This one, the preset I'm using is Touch My Hall. Again, bit of modification going on, mainly on the pre-delay. This one's about 40, what's this here, 40.5 milliseconds. Again, that's sort of timed with the track. And it sort of fills in the gap that the second reverb left. Again, this one, not the, it's long, but not super long. We'll take a listen to this one. Before that, though, I will mention that I am using, again, the Sweetone. Again, heavy cutting on the lows and just a little cut off on the highs on this one. I think I was pretty happy with how it all sounded. No mid boost or anything like that. So we'll do a before and after here.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And then after.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
That one's pretty subtle. I'm not giving it a lot, and I think it was just to sort of fill in whatever I needed at the time. But it's pretty subtle, but the overall is what's important on that. Anyway, so let's move on.
Yeah.
So after I settled the reverbs, I kind of wanted the delay into the mix as well. So the first delay that I set up was a eighth note, and I'm using the Echoboy from Soundtoys, which is a very cool, very popular delay unit in the plugin world. That's set to eighth note. A little feedback here. Some people might ask, what's up with this? The mix isn't fully wet, and it's on an effects return. And that is mainly a blend thing. It's not really about the eighth note. It's more about how the delay with the vocal blends into the tracks. So that's how that mix thing got settled in. There's also a saturation component on this plugin, and I am driving it a bit. And that's also keys into how I put the settings in on this particular plugin. I'm also filtering lows and highs as well for blend purposes on this one. And we'll do a little before and after.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And with the eighth note.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
Again, just hearing it like that, it's pretty subtle, but it gives it a little bounce rhythmically within the effects and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. And again, it worked for this particular track. After the eighth note, I also added a quarter note. And then this one I'm using the PSP Echo Plug-in. This was new when I got it. When I mixed the song, I was all excited. That's why I'm using it. There's another distortion component. I guess we could say I'm a fan of saturation. So I'm driving it a little bit. Feedback's pretty low. And we'll see what it gives in the track here. So a little before and after.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And with the quarter notes.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
So also note that the eighth note and the quarter note are panned. The eighth note is on the left, and the quarter note is on the right. And that's just kind of, again, just to space them out, give them their own little area there for them to play in. And that's about it.
Okay, cool.
Excellent. And the last effect is the doubler. So this one here is the waves doubler. And I'm doing like a +1, -1 sort of detune thing. I didn't invent that. That's it's a cool trick for all you guys out there. And they're delayed a little different on the +1 and the -1, and they're obviously panned, so it kind of creates this kind of double effect. And on that plugin, I'm also EQing. So I'm just pushing the top end a little bit, around 7K, and that's just to open it up a little bit. And I'm using the Waves S1 to sort of spread it out a little more. So let's hear how it sounds before and after. So before.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
And after.
Whatever happened to that smile on your face?
So you hear especially in the top end, it just gets a little more present, and the vocal sounds a little richer and stuff. So it's very nice. It's a nice little trick, and very helpful on this mix.
Nice. So that little doubler trick there with, I guess it's effectively like a harmonizer. So is that something that you tend to use quite a bit, or is this, in this particular case for this record, you just felt that you needed that little extra something?
I use some incarnation of that quite often. It's not always that there, but there's also the Soundtoys, the micro shift one there. That's pretty cool. That does similar things, and I definitely use it on, especially pop records where I need that vocal to come out. I definitely do something similar to that quite often, actually.
Nice. All right, cool. So yeah, so hopefully that inspired other people out there as well, and you guys learned something. Because like I said, every time I talk to G, I'm always learning new things, which is why I like to talk to him. But yeah, so I guess that concludes the 2-part video series here for Mixing Vocals with Ghislain Brind'Amour. And before we go, before I forget, I wanted to let you kind of get your plugs in there. So if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
To get in touch with me, email. So I'm mixedbyg@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, which is G_the engineer. And I also have a little website with my credits and a bit of information on me at mixedbyg.webs.com. So I think with those 3 things, you'll get in touch with me and to see what I'm up to and what I'm doing and stuff.
Okay, cool. So that's about it, and I guess we'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey, thanks a lot. Take care, guys.
Trying so hard to save face. The system and the plan didn't work out. You're trying to retrace. Get on, get on, get on, get on with